Hello and welcome to the 18th episode of the Bunker to Bunker podcast. We are coming off of a wonderful episode, our second official guest after Trek and Hovland. Jeff was great coming on, getting to talk to him, getting to hear his views on everything golf, gambling, Ryder Cup, whatnot. Back to the scheduled programming, unfortunately, some exciting guests coming in the future. But we're coming into a weird time of golf where we don't have tournaments every week. So, fresh off the Zozo, Collin Morikawa comes out here, kind of laps the field on Sunday, shoots a 63 to finish 14 under, winning by six. Josh, what are your thoughts on recent golf events and what went well for Morikawa this week?
Yeah, it was a honestly probably the best fields of the fall because I think you had Xander, Colin, um, you had I guess the names that we know, you have like the Bill Hossler played well, Eric Cole played well, so a lot of like big name guys. I mean, you had Keegan who won here in 2022. I'm sure I'm missing others on this fine morning, but yeah, I mean, Colin was probably like the second best player in this field. I assume Xander was probably the favorite behind Colin. Colin is, he's a great ball striker. I think he had a really good year stats wise, but just couldn't pull it together. I
Hmm.
saw a lot of like blind resumes of like his strokes gain profile versus other players that have won, and you would think that he would have won a tournament by now. And his last tournament he won was 2021 Open Championship. So it's been a while. It's nice to see him win. It's nice to see him with like his wife or fiance after with like his caddy. So that's all nice. And you know, I think I've been betting Morikawa last year, or I guess last year, a little bit. So it kind of feels good for him to finally win one. I didn't have a ticket on him, but we move on. But I think it's good to see him win. And it's funny because I also on Twitter saw highlights of Tiger because he won his 82nd victory here. So, which kind of leads us into some other topics about Tiger. But I thought that was pretty fun to bring back those memories of that. So, what are your kind of thoughts on Morikawa? 'Cause I feel like you were kind of a hater on him early on in his career with his bad putting, no short game around the 2021 Open Championship, and then he actually won the Open Championship. So, what's your stance on him?
Yeah, um, Morikawa's an interesting one to me because he has all the makings to be like this absolute elite player. And don't get me wrong, he fully
Yeah, yeah,
is. But he's just kind of like, as you said, he just kind of disappeared in terms of winning. And you got to kind of look at it from like a big picture where does winning make a player elite? And the common answer is yes. I mean, he's still, one of the top 10, 15 golfers if you want to stretch it that far in the world. So just because he hasn't won in 2 years, he's terrible. That's not what I'm saying. But in terms of like levels to the elite players, he's just kind of fallen back a little bit. And you look at like what he did when he was playing well. PGA Championship at Harding Park, going into the Open Championship, where no, I don't. I mean, I don't really think people even considered him, just given just the style, of course. I mean, probably you considered him, but the style, of course, that was needed, or the style of play against the style, of course, that was there. So it's really interesting to see where this will propel him because, as I said, we're in a weird stage of golf every year where, the fall series, you'll have these breaks, like no tournament next week. This was a no cut event where I love just looking at whoever
yeah.
finished in last place. We have Ben Taylor at 20 over, and you're like, maybe I could do that, in like one round or something. Um, but yeah, no, I'm not a hater of him by any means.
Yeah, yeah,
His swing is aesthetically pleasing as ever. Um, it's just if there's one, immediate knack on him, it's just the putting and chipping. Either it's very good or it's pretty below average.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, very, as you said, very cool to kind of see his reaction after winning and just to kind of get back in that winning ways because 2 years is a long time for someone who is such an elite game like he does. Um,
yeah. I mean, you see his stats and you're like, this guy should win, but I think
Yeah.
that also shows you how hard it is to win. He blew the Century Tournament of Champions to John Rahm. I mean, he was up,
Mhm.
I forget how many strokes, but he blew that one. Was in contention in other tournaments. And yeah, yeah, the 2021 Open Championship, I bet him only because of the number. Like, it was a pure,
Yeah.
just like,
The
I
number
forget
was
what his
off.
number was, but it might have been like plus 3,000 or something at the time when he was playing
Mhm.
good golf. It's because he said, like, I think his irons didn't hit the turf right at wherever he won and, like, couldn't hit his fade. And then he goes and hits every fairway and every green and, like, makes every putt to beat Spieth. So it's like, it's just any given weekend, honestly, in golf,
Yeah.
like anyone can just have it. These guys are
Sure.
so talented. But which kind of leads us, I guess, into a fun debate I saw on Twitter. People were comparing Victor Hovland, and Collin Morikawa. They both came up at the same time. Hovland went to Oklahoma State. Morikawa went to Cal. Hovland probably had more accolades as an amateur at Oklahoma State, and also being the low am at the Masters when Tiger won in 2019. So Morikawa, this is his sixth PJ Tour victory. We just said 2020 PJ Championship and the 2021 Open Championship are his best two. Hovland has six PJ Tour wins. People were trying to count his Hero 2 wins at the Hero World
Kind of.
Challenge, and I'm like, dude, he's playing against like 20 guys. It's like, okay, like it's just it's more of a fun thing. But I
Yeah.
guess he'd still won a trophy, but it doesn't count towards OWGR, so like it doesn't count.
Yeah.
But Hovland won the Memorial BMW and Tour Championship this year, so I thought it would be fun just to who would you kind of take? I don't know how you want to do this, like maybe like now for like a tournament long term, maybe like a long term, but it's kind of hard. But I thought just to have a little fun thing segue, like who would you take
Yeah.
just like off the first glance?
So that's it's always going to be a debate because they are such similar players in their skill sets to an extent. Well, not to an extent, they are very similar at what
Yeah,
they do very well, at what they're elite at, and what they're not very good at. And the interesting thing is, they both came out, I believe, it was 2019 when they turned professional. I was at the U.S. Open out in Pebble Beach when Hovland won the low am out there. So he was like, this all hyped up amateur coming out. Not saying Morikawa wasn't, but you look at who came onto the scene quicker, and it's Collin Morikawa. And you look who's just blown golf and taken golf by storm, like blown golf out of the water, taken it by storm over the past 2 years, and it's been Hovland. So it's kind of like a roller coaster to an extent. You're kind of looking at like these players going into these dips of not winning or just continuously just pushing out good results. Again, I'll preface that by me saying, oh, a player is not hasn't won in 2 years, it doesn't mean they stink. It's just they
yeah,
haven't won, and that's just the nature of the game. Is do you win the golf tournament or not, and that can depend your status, world rankings, whatever you want to call it. So, I mean, long term, the simple answer is Victor Hovland. Just his game seems to add up well to most courses at this point, and he seems to be honestly improving the putting, which is a pretty big shot. But I think it's gonna just continue to be this like seesaw roller coaster ride of
yeah,
every couple of years, one guy is just gonna run through everyone else and just keep winning, and the other one's just gonna be sitting there. Then they'll flip flop. So I don't know if you have any opinion on that.
yeah. No, I definitely agree. The simple answer is I take Hovland just because he's a better driver of like the golf
Sure.
ball. I mean, he's
Yeah.
you know arguably maybe take him after probably take Rory one. Hovland's probably two, honestly, at this point. So I mean, they're both elite ball strikers. Morikawa's probably a top three iron player. He's probably behind Sky Scheffler. So it's kind of just like I take Hovland because he's better at one thing than Colin by a lot.
Hmm.
So that's my simple answer. But it's also like being like, who do you rather have, like Peyton Manning or Tom Brady and Roger? Like they're all
Yeah.
really good. It's just that like you have to
Sure.
go out. So I mean, Colin has the two majors. Hovland had this year. So it's definitely interesting because I think in golf, over since me kind of being like a hardcore fan since like what maybe like 20 probably when like Speed started, honestly. So maybe like 2013, 2014. Like these guys just have a run. Like this was Hovland's
Sure.
run. Scheffler
Mhm.
had his run. I mean, John Rahm, he's having his run, and Rory doesn't go anywhere. So I think in the off season when we're talking about who wins at the Masters, U.S. Open, those majors, I think a good prediction is like who has the next run
Wrong.
that
Yeah.
maybe we're not talking about. So I think that'll be really interesting to talk about later. But kind of segueing off the PJ Tour to the other tour, and Liv had their team championship at Trump Doral in Miami. So they kind of had, I think they had like three tiers or just groups of the teams. So the
Hmm.
format was they had two singles matches, so two golfers played singles. I believe that the captains always played each other in singles. So it was two singles matches and match play, and then they had a foursomes match. So it was three
Hmm.
matches in all. And then if your team got out of your group, then there was a final 18-hole stroke play calculated by the score of all your four golfers. So those
Hmm.
were the rules of it. And we had Crushers Golf Club. So congratulations to Bryson, Paul Casey, Charles Howe III, Anabaran Lahiri. Each player got $1.4 million, and then they got 8.4 in their team bank account, which totals 14 million all around. So, Bryson, happy for him. Probably his best win since his major uh, at Wingfoot. There are some scenes of Kepka drinking on a par three, handing him a beer or a seltzer or something, and they were kind of going back and forth in a funny fashion. So, what were your kind of thoughts if you saw a little bit on social media, kind of this team format? Like, do you like this or not? Like, just give me your any thoughts you got.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull up. I don't know if I guess he deleted it. I don't know if you saw was it Eddie Pepperell's? I think it was his tweet about watching Live yesterday. I can't find it. Maybe it's not there anymore. To me, it's borderline unwatchable. Um, I understand the desire for team golf. You look at a Ryder Cup and something like that, which, the team golf aspect is awesome, but it's just so not serious, I guess is the best way to put it. I don't know if this makes any sense, but it's kind of like golf on Nickelodeon. Like you look at it's just kind of a joke. Like not you look at like the NFL doing their broadcasts on Nickelodeon. This is like funny and whatnot. It's the NFL. People look forward to that, but you have a league that they're trying to take seriously and try and bring in new fans, and you're having them do these weird format team championships or all this stuff. And I don't know if you looked at the crowds, but there's what 100 people per hole, walking around, and you have all these live
Yeah.
fan accounts talking about, the center of the golfing universe is in Doral right now, or oh, Crusher's Golf Club win is better than winning a major, all this crap. It's just I feel like again, nothing against live fans, like everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but I feel like they're just on la la land just at the product and not understand it's just really bad. You know, it's kind of like an entry level league for people who don't understand the beauty of a full field golf tournament. It's kind of like they're trying to mix in partying, mix in drinking, mix in that to try and get people to kind of be
Yeah.
pulled in. To me, it's just hilariously bad. That's my honest opinion. I don't watch it. I find it a very difficult watch. Um, but yeah, I mean, it seems like it's here to stay. It seems like the PGA Live merger is done, or not done necessarily, but that started. Our first ever episode of this podcast was the day that that was announced, so early June, and we haven't heard a single word outside of a bunch of senators or someone within the US are going to try and block it. So, don't know what's happening with that. So, it looks like this live product is kind of here to stay, for lack of a better term.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think really it's like I like reading the kind of the rules of the format. It kind of I'm like that would be kind of cool, but I don't think you could do that for from January on. Like I think it would have to be like a fall swing type of thing that's like kind of fun. I think like like Brooks going after Matthew Wolf, who they're on the same team, being like this guy's like a bum, doesn't practice, whatever. Like I'm trying to help him and like he just won't take my help. Like you can get those storylines, but it only takes like a Brooks Koepka who is just like that alpha male and like a Bryson who just like does his thing. So yeah, the product isn't great. I don't watch it. I don't even know where to watch it. Like it's on like the CW.
CW, the CW.
I'm not I'm not putting on my TV, which I don't even have cable at my place. So I'm not gonna go on my way to try to stream the
Mhm.
CW. I don't know why they even went to. I understand why they went to the CW, but just put it for free for for fans. Which it honestly could be free. I just don't know where to access it. So that's on them. But yeah, it sounds like Live is here to stay. I know something that I didn't put on our outline, but Phil did say that in the press conference before the tournament that like he said that there's some there's other PGA guys that want to come next year, but he doesn't know if there's enough spots. Which like it's Phil Mickelson who like it could be just out of his ass or actually true. But I kind of found that kind of funny on the way that he like said that. I don't know if you saw that, but
Yeah, I did, and it's the same thing as when the next thing we'll transition into is Tiger Woods' league. It's the same thing as like people just want to start like rumors and not necessarily drama, but just start up talk just to get Live continuously
yeah,
in the mainstream media. And you could say PGA players. Okay, you could pull someone who's 1001 and he's technically a PGA player. So it's one of those things where like I really would struggle to see how a top tier PGA player that is because they're always rumored apparently. It's the same thing as soccer transfer rumors or trade rumors in the NBA, NFL, whatever. They're always rumored. They make no sense. They're just always there. But I just struggle to see how a top player with all the money that's being thrown in the PGA Tour right now is going to be like, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. I want to go play for Crushers Golf Club or Smash Golf Club or something. I just don't see how these top players are going to do that. But then on the contrary, with the money that is available in this golf league, it makes sense why your middle tier to lower tier players, your 100th in the world, 200th in the world would consider this. Because I forget. I think it was on Jake Paul's podcast. I don't know. He works for Maria's Better, the betting app. But he had Brooks Koepka on, and Brooks admitted that the only reason he went to live golf is for job security. He could wake up tomorrow and get in a car accident, lose his leg, and where's his income going to come from? Now, that's very true. It's a stretch for someone who was as financially sound before he went to live, but
yeah,
it's more so of like just the money that's being pumped into it. So it's one of those things where yeah, it's just a rumor in my eyes, and I don't see how these top players are just going to be like running and running and running to to uh to sign up. I know that Live Golf is having like I don't know how you want to call it, like a promotion event in December. It's like a 3-day thing. There's like X number of golfers, maybe 50, 100 or whatever, and the top three get promotion to Live Golf. It's just kind of it's just a joke. I don't know how else to put it. Like they put their entry
yeah,
level, and I read it. It's like you know Masters winner, major winner. Like who in the world is doing that? Like
yeah,
you'll get your Joe Smith off the street. He'll show up in Abu Dhabi to go play for you. So, yeah,
yeah.
overall, it's just a bad product in my eyes.
Yeah, no, I agree. And we've kind of seen it on the PGA Tour that, a lot of these tournaments are won by the top guys because there's no more of those like Joaquin, like Niemans, and like Amito Pereira. And then you also have like the Dustins and Phil that like they'll win, a tournament, every like 3, 4 years. Or I guess for Phil, not for DJ. But yeah, we've seen that and we saw that this week where Colin, who's like the co-favorite, second favorite one, and it's all like top guys. It's not like a middle tier guy because they're all on this tour, however you want to say it. So yeah, we'll definitely see. next month how everything kind of plays out. I honestly don't really care anymore. It's like,
Yeah, I know.
you know, whatever. So, but I mean, I think you also have the you know the TGL with Tiger and Rory, who their league starts in January 2024. So for those who don't know, I'll give you a little quick recap of what the TGL is. So it's a simulator golf league. So it's 18 holes. I believe you drive and then you hit your irons in a simulator, and then there's a short game area, the putt and chip. It's aired on ESPN. They announced that a couple of weeks ago. It's played at the SoFi Center in Palm Beach, Florida. I believe it's teams of three. I think there's six teams, but depending on like the new rosters, they might switch that up.
Mhm.
And I'm not really sure how the teams will be determined. I hope there's like a draft of some sort, but also I could just see like Tiger. All right, I want JT and Rory on my team, and that's just like his team. So I don't. I was trying to read about it. I couldn't really see anything about how they're gonna pick teams and stuff because then there's like teams with different cities and different people who own these teams. So I'm not really sure how that's gonna play out. But um, kind of what are your thoughts initially on the TGL? Are you excited for it? The pretty stacked roster, which we'll get into. But what are your kind of initial thoughts on it?
So I guess there's like two like big initial thoughts. And this was my last mention of Live Golf, but I cannot stand reading online of seeing players who just aren't geographically close living in Florida, like a Scotty Scheffler or a Jordan Spieth, who weren't signed to this league. And they're like, oh my gosh, they're going to live. They're going to live. No, that just goes back to the whole rumor thing. That's just ridiculous. So yeah, it's supposed to happen Monday and Tuesday nights. Um, in Florida. So obviously, if you're not geographically close, you're not going to be flying to Florida and then flying to who knows where in the world to play on Thursday. I think it's going to be actually pretty entertaining. I think that it's a really fun environment. I mean, it's not going to be every week necessarily. There's going to be 15 matches. I don't know
Yeah,
if that means, you know, if that's all six teams play three times, if that's 15 different match days, and they all,
yeah,
we don't know that yet, but it seems like it could be like maybe once every 3 4 weeks or something, and it seems rather engaging. It seems like a good way to kind of just see something different, and get like a fun product. I know we're talking about Live being like a bad product or something where they're trying to force this fun atmosphere, and I think that this is a pretty smart way to try and force this whole like welcoming atmosphere and try and bring all these new golf fans in. And it's also starting at the perfect time of, okay, we start in January. Well, what's up Monday nights? Monday night football. Don't really have that anymore past January because of the playoffs. So you're really only
right.
competing with the NBA and college basketball. And there's really not big games on necessarily Monday nights, and those there obviously can be, but it seems like they'll have a pretty free reign run to the top to dominate Monday and Tuesday night sports TV on ESPN.
Yeah,
Um, so I think on the surface, great plan. Should be a lot of fun. Obviously, there's a lot of things that just need to be fixed, ironed out. But if you go out, hop on their website, let's see. So a couple of the teams, one of them is the Los Angeles Golf Club, owned by Serena Venus Williams. A couple others. You
hmm,
have Atlanta Drive Golf Club, owned by Arthur Blank, who owns the Falcons. You have a Boston team that's not named, owned by Fenway Sports Group, who owns literally everything. Um, a New York team, unnamed, owned by Stephen Cohen, which is absolutely hilarious. A San Francisco team owned by Steph Curry, and that should be it. Yeah. So it's just kind of like a good co-mix of you know sports figures from different worlds who are investing in it.
yeah.
As you saw, SoFi is the big investor. Um, it seems like fun. I mean, it just seems like fun. That's probably my short answer.
Yeah, I think it'll be new, um, a lot of technology with it. So I think young kids can like relate to it being like pretty cool. I also think that you have a lot of like the big names, but I also think you have a lot of like good golf personalities, just like
Mhm.
in general, people that will take, you know, a friendly jab at, someone. Like you have like a Kevin Kisner might just be in this just because of his comedic side, you
Yeah.
know? So I think that plays in it too. Yeah, I also saw like Scheffler and Spieth aren't playing it, and I was like, yeah, they live in Texas, and Spieth just had like his second kid.
This kid,
Like, let's
yeah.
give them like a break. But like, there are some people that aren't like I'm looking at the list right now. Like, I'd probably say probably like 80% of people. Like, I know that Sahith isn't in Florida. I know that Collin is in Vegas. Rahm's in Arizona. I think Clark is and Homa are both in Scottsdale. So Tom Kim is in Texas. So majority of people are in Florida, but they have like the Florida swing, so they're gonna be out
Mhm.
there. So I assume that they'll probably majority do this league when they're out in Florida for Honda, or I think they might switch that. Bay Hill,
Mhm.
the players in March. So like you're already out there, so it makes sense. But yeah, I'm definitely like excited. I feel like they're kind of maybe at like the 50-yard line of like what they're gonna announce with teams and like a format and maybe do some like promotional stuff. So it's definitely something to keep an eye on. But I know that we had Jeff on the last pod. He posted the TGL logo, and he was kind of saying how it's a mix of like Tiger and Rory's like iconic fist pumps and arms in like the air, which I thought is a pretty cool logo and kind of I guess signifies like the energy I guess of this new like,
Mhm.
TGL. So I thought I wanted to give Jeff a shout out, who's a friend of the program with that, and I thought that was pretty funny, kind of making that observation, which I'm sure you
Mhm.
probably agree on with. It's pretty evident of
Yeah.
like the fist pumps. So
Mhm. I guess just another thing to throw in about the TGL, and it's not like a direct comparison necessarily, but like look at American sports in general. Look at all these like tier B leagues that have started up. You take the XFL, the USFL, Big Three basketball, the tournament, which is a basketball tournament that is played uh, in the summer, and they're all kind of striving to do the same thing, where they're trying to bring entertainment to TV networks to fans when that sport isn't as common. Now, golf is year round, so that's not an issue. But this is blown into different proportion where they have all the stars of the golf scene bringing into it. So you look at something like Big Three or something like that, which is played in the off season of basketball. It's been successful. Yes, it's not out there drawing these massive reviews, but imagine if you got the NBA stars to go in and play. So if you see how like these organizations and other sport leagues can kind of do it, it kind of seems like how wouldn't this work when you bring the stars of uh, of the that specific sport into it right away. So as I said, on the
yeah,
surface, it seems like really
I'm.
well set up.
I mean, it's about they have the top players. They have Tiger and
Mhm.
Rory, Rahm, JT. You have those personalities, but also you have the celebrities that are putting their own hard-earned like money into this. Like having like Steph Curry. What you think he's a top five most global? Not just basketball player, but
Yeah.
athlete in general. Like
Hmm.
maybe if he plays like the Heat, and then like before a game, like he comes and like shows up there, and they start like posting, oh, like
Hmm.
Steph Curry's here. So I think you have the celebrity backing. I think other athletes from other sports will come and show up. I mean, we've seen like the YouTube like golf blow up. Like I'm sure like
Hmm.
Rick Shields will come, and Good and Grant Horvat and all that scene, and Bobby Burger. He's in that the Jupiter area now. A Fat
Hmm.
Prez, maybe have them do like a little like yeah, pregame thing.
Yeah.
So it's like I think you have all the stars aligned with Tiger. Just no one wants to miss on this you know new entertainment league of golf. So
Hmm.
I think that's so I'm definitely really excited for it. And yeah, I think that kind of wraps us up. We have a big game tonight for the Phillies. Hopefully they can close it out.
Yeah.
You had a big Steelers win. The Birds won. And we had a Penn State loss, but we don't have time to talk about that.
Yeah.
So,
We don't want to talk
um,
about that.
yeah,
So,
I can be on another like 20 minutes on why we lost and why some people are
yeah.
saying dumb things, but um, those are my final thoughts. So,
Yeah. Well, let me give me 1 second here. So, the next PGA Tour event, okay, November 2nd, the WWTG. Cool. Um, so kind of running into the fall swing of these lower tier um, fields, but we'll be pumping out still great content as always. Kind of a big November in terms of just consistent golf. I mean, your first three weeks in November are golf filled, and then we kind of wrap up the year with the Hero World Challenge, which is still fun to watch.
oh, I have
But yeah,
a last question for you.
go for it.
To end this podcast, does Tiger play in the Hero World Challenge? Yes or no? That's all. It's just a one word.
Yes,
I say no.
I think he will. I think he will. I do. I think that has been his target. Returned it because I think he's going to tie it into playing in the PNC Championship in December again. So I think that if he is ready enough to go for the PNC in December with Charlie, then I think he would at least give it a shot at the Hero World Challenge since he co-hosts the thing anyway. He'll be there regardless. So I say yes.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
And also I think the next PJ tournament is a Tiger design course. My brother told me
Hmm.
that. So
Okay.
a
Nice.
lot, a lot of Tiger might be coming up in kind of the dead period golf, which is always good.
You
So,
got it. You got it.
but all right.
So cool. Awesome. Well, thank you everyone out there listening. We will be back next week as well to continue talking about the fall swing.